Hi, everyone. Welcome to SensorFlow's webinar. So today's panel discussion is going to be about, is sustainability still important to hotels during COVID? And I've got some amazing speakers with me today. And so we're going to begin the webinar in about a minute now, just for any last minute attendees to join in. In the meantime, I'm going to start talking about, what are the house rules here. So throughout the course of this webinar, please feel free to enter any questions you have for our panelists through the Q&A function in Zoom. So you will find that at the bottom of your screen. So you could click the Q&A, enter questions as we go along. You do not need to wait for the end of the event. We'll pick up those questions as we go through the panel and then afterwards. And so if you're having any technical issues in the meantime, you can also use the chat function, which is also found at the bottom of the screen. So please reach out to Peyton, that's Peyton. She's in charge of logistics for this session. The webinar will be recorded. I can see the sort of question coming already. So it will be recorded and we'll send a link to the recording and any related resources from today's event as well in the next couple of days. Right. So I believe we have most of our sort of joinees here. We see 37 people on this call. So I think we can officially get started. So for today's event, we will have three hospitality leaders, or rather we have three hospitality leaders in sustainability here to share their opinions and views on the topic. And we will start with a 30-minute panel discussion and then move on to a 10-minute Q&A session. So as we sort of mentioned at the start of this webinar, please submit the questions throughout the event. As and when you have them, just go through that sort of Q&A function below. Click that button, enter those questions. I'll bring them up with the panelists. And we also have an additional 10 minutes at the end, should we need it. And so, today's sort of webinar obviously is on the topic of, is sustainability still important to hotels during COVID? Now, the talk about sustainability and being green has definitely been overshadowed by the pandemic, which has pushed hotels to take extreme cost-cutting measures. Now, the biggest reason for this is the association of being, sustainable is being expensive. And this has led to putting a lot of sustainability initiatives in the back seat of most hotels' to-do list for the year. The good news, however, is that sustainability has become a lot more mainstream recently, as advocates and research are showing that consumer demand is driving this change as we internalize and process the global pandemic that we're going through. Now, unlike any other global event, we have all personally experienced this major disruption. And after 6+ months of being cooped up at home, it's definitely spawned a new appreciation for family and community, and also protecting natural resources and the environment, and helping others during this challenging time. Now, quite simply, it's been entirely transformational in every way possible. So the question is, how should hotels react to this? Is sustainability still the right strategy for hotels to recover and gain strong standing in a post-COVID world? Or will sustainability programs burn more holes in a pockets already, burn more holes in a hotel's already loose pocket? Now, to talk about this, we have three amazing speakers with us today, who I'm very excited to introduce. So we're going to start with Frank. So Frank Duan is a passionate guy about luxury and serving with excellence. He has a strong belief in creating unforgettable experience for guests. Now, throughout his career in hospitality, he strived to empower his colleagues and facilitate meaningful projects that build up the local community and make a positive impact in the world. With over 17 years of experience in working in numerous global high-profile and luxury hotels, he's always been a leader to implement processes and service standards across his organization. He was also part of the hotel pre-opening team in UAE, Asia, and Europe, growing the company footprint with the development of a heritage hotel project. So Frank joined Mandrill Oriental in Bangkok as a hotel manager back in 2016, and it's also been appointed as the chairperson for the Hotel Sustainability Working Group. Welcome, Frank, to the panel, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Sai. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Jane McDougall. Jane has more than 2 decades of experience in the hospitality industry with Le Méridien Hotels and Resorts. With the past 5 years, she's been working as a consultant and a trainer for risk management and sustainability in the hotel industry. Her experience includes supporting hotel sustainability programs, risk management and safety issues, including food safety training and auditing. And more recently, training hotels about hygiene measures for COVID-19. So Jane has also been active as a chairperson for the Phuket's Hotel Association Environment Working Group. So she's helped guide about 80 members in this sort of group in plastic reduction, food waste minimization, education about the environment and sustainability. And Jane also conducts workshops in plastic reduction and works closely with other hotels, government and non-governmental organizations to find solutions to preserve the beauty of Phuket and promote Phuket as a sustainable destination. Welcome, Jane, and we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you, Sai. It's a great pleasure to be joining you today.
Lastly, we have Shafar Jamaluddin. Shafar is a multilingual hospitality industry professional with over 30 years experience in the industry. His career spans around Asia, including countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Brunei, China, Japan, and Indonesia. Now, Shafar started his career in food and beverage before moving to front office. And after a few years in the front office and a few convincing words from an ex-GM, he moved into sales and marketing revenue, where he spent most of his time. Now, his work in countries like Japan, Thailand, and China, where he spent most of his time, it's contributed a lot to his career, and it serves as a base for his interest in sustainability. Welcome, Shafar. Very, very happy to have you on board.
Thank you, Sai. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, panelists are ready and the audience is ready. So let's get started. Obviously, this is going to be a very interesting and exciting topic. And I want to set the context here a bit. So obviously, sustainability means a lot of different things for people. And I just want to get a sense of, what does sustainability mean to you guys, especially, in a pre-COVID world? And how has that changed in the post-COVID world? Maybe we'll start with the lady, Jane, if we could get you started.
So first of all, what was happening pre-COVID was, I think everything for sustainability was moving along at a very rapid pace, and there was a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of support. And yes, it was the thing to do. Certainly in Phuket, we had a lot of support from our 75 plus member hotels that were taking one step at a time moving forward. With the advent of COVID, of course, this has changed and the focus has changed a great deal. Many hotels have difficult times now. And so whilst sustainability has not changed, the capacity to deal with it has changed. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit more later on.
Gotcha. And, on capacity, I'm not sure if Frank, you're seeing something similar as well, sort of in Bangkok and, it's a general sense, the capacity meaning, is it like the people resources that's changed now, or is it like budgetary constraints? How have things been for you personally?
I think definitely you see a lot of hotels, which due to that there are no travelers coming to Thailand, many hotels are under immense pressure in terms of cash flow, and for sure expenses are being scrutinized, making sure that they can survive the day-to-day life. However, I think on the other side, people really realize that after or during this pandemic, the source and the origin of keeping our planet healthy has affected us. And we had some warnings before COVID, mad cow disease and others, which we know we are the source of the problem, and we have never tackled that. So discussion starts to open up. People are much more aware. While before it wasn't in our face, it wasn't affecting people on their day-to-day life. So I say the spirit has never been as high as now to make a real change. All we've done just before COVID-19 was to remove a plastic straw, and we unanimously all removed plastic straws. But now we went to much more details. And while hotels are now scrutinizing costs, they understand that waste is a major kind of topic that I like to address, minimizing waste in energy consumption to the portion that you're throwing away from a buffet to the garbage, all of those kinds of add-ons makes at the end that if you create a mentality around waste reduction, people are also looking forwards of how to reduce the cash burn in each of their hotels to be better in terms of productivity.
Absolutely. I like how you said that. Like the spirit has never been higher. Like, that's exactly how it feels as well. And also more than just plastic straws. I absolutely love that. Because there's so much wastage that's, beyond just the small things that we look at, but there's so many things we don't see that's actually leading to wastage, be it back office, be it energy consumption, whatever. And Shafar, I want to get a sense of how things are, where you are now in Indonesia. How's the thinking changed now, and what are you looking forward to the most when things start to open up again?
Well, as much as I share a lot of sentiments with Frank and Jane here, I would like to see, or to say, sustainability as we need to look at it as it is. What is it about? We can talk about being changing from plastic straws or plastic bottles to glass bottles and so on and so forth. But then at the end of the day, sustainability comes back to one thing. For all of us, it's being sustainable in business. Whatever we do will come back, should come back, and needs to come back to being sustainable in business. Whatever we do. For example, we talk about saving energy, sustainability in energy usage and all that. But what does it come back with? Let's not have it end as a jargon or as a headline where in the past we have people talk about carbon emission and all that. But at the end of the day, what does it translate back to us as hospitality leaders, which is more important, especially now when with COVID. The latest report for Indonesia, for example, yesterday, within the Jakarta, Bandung, Bogor, the main Java area, there are already 300 hotels up for sale because they are not being able to sustain in business. And over 1,500 hotels have closed. Now, that brings us back to how are we managing our sustainability activities to ensure the ultimate goal, which is to be sustainable in business. And I think that's very important. Then only once we have that point right in our mind, then we embark on the other smaller initiatives, activities within our business that would add up and help the business to stay there. So to me, in a nutshell, is again at the end of the day, what do we do? Yes, we want to be green, but let's be profitable at the same time and not let it end just like a jargon, a tagline. Do it all the way from end to end, and so on. And I think despite being a little bit slow in picking up on this, I would say the hotels in Indonesia, for example, have quite advanced in a lot of initiatives. For example, the initiative to convert from plastic straws to the most popular now thing is here in Bali, especially. You'll see they've started about 2 years ago converting from plastic straw to pasta instead of paper straw, and that have started before it became a trend in the industry across. People have started to convert from plastic bottles to glass bottles, for example, and slowly but surely is going to get there. It is not being advertised or publicized as much as it should. But as a country in Indonesia, they are doing a lot of things. They are trying to convert more and more cars into users of vehicles into electric vehicles. One of the biggest manufacturer of cars opening, well, two actually, the biggest manufacturer of electric cars are coming in and building their plant here. And the government are now talking about having charging stations all across the highways and In every gas station, there must be a certain percentage of charging stations in there, and that project is already kicking off right now as we speak. So coming back to that, at the end of the day, it's not just what we do within our property, but what is happening outside as well that would support us later in the future.
It's a mindset, right? And it's starting to show not just in our industry, but everywhere, like where we expect, to behave as a better citizen, so to speak. So that's where you're coming from, like, taking more initiatives, not just in places that you go, but also in the things that you do, driving electric cars. Maybe, if you're traveling abroad, then you're looking at sort of eco-conscious or carbon neutral sort of ways to travel, or, buying carbon credits to offset that. That's definitely where the world's heading. And I like what you said about, sustainability should also mean about, businesses being sustainable. Because I think end of the day, like if you're not a sustainable business, no matter how much good you do, you can't sort of have a lasting effect, if you don't survive. And that certainly seems to be the case when, right now with all the hotels sort of up for sale, going out of business. And I just want to unpack that a little bit, because one of the sort of misconceptions is sustainability is, being sustainable can be very expensive. And that's not necessarily true. As we've seen, taking a lot of sustainable initiatives can actually have a significant positive impact on your bottom line. And I want to sort of unpack that and talk about personal experiences, right? Maybe we'll start with Jane again. Like what kind of ROIs do we see, when we implement sustainable initiatives, and how does that help the hotel in the long run?
Okay, so first of all, obviously at the moment, hotels need to be extremely concerned about their bottom line and keeping costs down during this period, and different destinations are differently affected. It seems that there are ways that you can be cautious in looking into what you're going to do to address certain sustainability issues. So, for example, do your research is very important. You might anticipate that the change from plastic water bottles to glass water bottles is a more expensive thing to do. But in reality, if you have a look at the figures, and we did this here in Phuket, we looked at the figures to make the changeover or to start a Stop the Straw program and these other things. In the end, they save you a great deal of money. So they can be very beneficial, but you need to do your homework first. I think that cost cutting and sustainability can go together. And as Shafir was talking about before, it's all really about resilience, isn't it? So resilience for the business. And we need to keep in mind that there are many ways, but be careful, do your homework, have a look into the costs of things, talk to others that are in the industry, have a look what they're doing, see if you can join together and have money saving by buying in bulk and this kind of thing. There's many different ways that you can find a way to save money, but at the same time, change the face of sustainability and also benefit the reputation of your own property, but also the destination.
Well said. And I just want to sort of touch on that a little bit, because, a lot of hotels, they do this analysis, they have an idea of, what that is, but sometimes what happens is, they face a lot of different challenges, be it the owner or be it sort of, like the financing that's necessary upfront. And, like, I just want to sort of talk about that a little bit. Like, what are some of the reasons, that hold back hotels from implementing these, programs and initiatives? Because a lot of them do seem to have good ROIs, but we're still seeing that sort of, lack of, or rather this inertia to take action sometimes. And maybe Frank, you could chip in here a bit, and from your personal experience, what you've seen.
I think nowadays people are seeking for a sense of purpose. I think everyone is tipping in and losing money. Many people around the world have lost their job. A lot of people are going on to salary cuts. So it's a very difficult time. And during difficult time, you need to find a goal to put people together to a bigger sense than just themselves. And sustainability is something which moves colleagues and moves also people to come to your hotel and saying, those people are doing the right thing, and that's why I want to go over there. And going through the trend, it's more or less to the leadership of owners to support, but also the people which are leading the teams. And they look to reflect on themselves. Are they willing to make a change in their life, become activists and making radical changes? Because it's time for radical change. I'm a bit tired to hear about people saying, yes, it's about bottom line and it's a bit about cost cutting. I'm not so sure I will, eradicate plastic in my hotel, or I'm still look at the ROI of sustainable ways of replacing utilities, or people are just investing money into funds which are using practices which are not ethical. The unethical way, we know that is not moving forwards. And it's about us as leaders to say, okay, if you disagree with the way that we are living today, it's you first to make those changes. Do you own a car? Do you really need to own a car? Do you really need to eat meat? Are you an activist? Are you knocking on every door? Do you think and believe what you're talking about? Then the barriers. There is a non-acceptance. You just need to close the door of getting every supplier which has a plastic and say to the suppliers, no, it's on banana leaves or it's in other ways, but you will not serve me. And being radical is sometimes needs a lot of courage. But I believe it's time to get bold statements from companies to say, we will have no plastic in our hotel, or at least single-use plastic anymore. We will not encourage modern slavery. We will make the right choice. And people are speaking up, and generations now are younger generation are very well connected, understand very quickly, and they will say no to your product if you are wrong. So it's a matter of very quick survival. If tomorrow you say you've eradicated plastic and you still have plastic in your place, or you are providing fish from places which are not ethical correct and fishing on the wrong place, believe me, people will put you on the spot. So reputation of a business is nowadays everything you can hold on to survive. And people making the choice of neglecting that in terms of leadership or in terms of ownership will have not a long term, but a very short term now, a lot of difficulties. We can have several kind of companies which are associating themselves with great figures of environment, communicating about what they're doing, and maybe they are not perfect. However, they are communicating on the intention, on what they're doing, what they're putting in place, and that's extremely beneficial for people to get to your product. People will not buy you for cheap anymore. They will buy it by you as the real value of who you are, and they will completely stop consuming you if you are not doing the right thing. And the PR value of your reputation is important today to continue and sustain in the business.
Well said, Frank. I think it starts with every single person, right? Like what they own and what they put themselves accountable for goes a long way in making change, and it has to start from ground up. And every single person, when they contribute, plus when leaders already sort of take that contribution and drive it at their organizations, that's when you start to see that momentum pick up. I just want to sort of take a step back and circle back to one of the questions, or one of the comments that we sort of had earlier, which is, we had all these sort of closure of hotels, and I'm seeing this question on the Zoom function right now, and one of the questions is from Sarah here, and given the closure of hotels, what measures will be put in place to build back for more sustainable limitations on capacity and rooms? I've seen this throughout Cambodia as well, a complete oversupply of rooms, which is why the numbers are so dramatic now. Maybe Shafar, you could give your experience, because we see similar things in Indonesia as well. But there's this oversupply, and how do you think about sort of keeping that growth sustainable so we don't have this in the future?
Well, I think again, back to being sustainable in business, the most important part is before this should have been looked at even before the pandemic started. Like everyone is saying, we have started, sustainability has really gotten into a very good momentum pre-COVID. However, when COVID started, it has started to down or quite down a little bit, but I'm sure those people who are really doing it are not stopping, and they're continuing, because to me, one of sustainability is one of those steps that can help you be sustainable in business. Now, in the future, how can we stop this? I don't think that there's a single magic wand that one can have to stop business from winding down due to crisis or whatever. However, again, coming back, it's all about control. It's all about having the right steps implemented, having the right products, and so on. And what Frank just said just now is totally true. You do not have to, you should not be cutting down on your products or services, and especially quality. And we are in the business of serving people. We are in the business of, what do we sell? We sell experiences. You can't cut down on that. We are giving people experiences that they wish they could have at home, but they can't, or they wish they could be at home, but they can't. So they want to have home where they are at that moment, in a different country, in a different place, or that dream thing. And we can't cut that away. We can't reduce it. And if we do, then we'll lose our business. We'll lose our clients. But in doing so, we have to continually find ways to continue deliver the experience, yeah, while maintaining and be sustainable. Controlling energy, for example. I mean, we know in Asia, we love to, when we are out, we love to come back to a cold, I have to say, super cold home. Most Europeans do not understand this, and especially those who just moved to Asia and coming to an Asian house, and we have our air conditioning set at 18 degrees, and you go like, what is going on? But that is how it is. However, there are ways that we can help that and still maintain a good atmosphere for the rooms that they can come back to. We just need to have the right plan and the right steps and the right people monitoring and executing all this. Having that will significantly reduce the amount of energy spent in a building. At the end of the day, it comes back to the bottom line. It reduces the money you spend on electricity and so on. Having the right shower head, having the right tap and faucets being installed. It is no more like 5 years ago when or more than that, when everything started to come in to change the shower head, it costs you 3 times more, 4 times more than a normal shower head. Nowadays, because it's being mass produced and everybody's doing it, cost has gone so much cheaper. However, coming back to one of your points just now, Sai, the mindset still have not changed. When people say sustainability, we need to enforce this, there are still a lot of people, even the younger ones, are now thinking, oh no, sustainability is a very expensive business, and ROI, we don't know, we can't figure it out, but we think it's going to be negative, we won't get anything back. That needs to change first. Change the mindset. It's not as bad as it was before. Things have changed, and especially now, I think with the current situation with the pandemic, still at large in most countries, with hotel occupancies going down, I think now it is more important for everyone to look into sustainability activities, initiatives in their property, because that will ensure sustainability in business.
Yeah, and I just want to take that and sort of go with another question that's coming from the audience here.
Yeah.
Although this is the right momentum, Do you think in a post-COVID recovery plan, there's room for turning our business greener, or will the hospitality industry try to recover as fast as it can? Or can these scenarios actually go along together? And maybe Jane, I would like to start with you on this.
I think they can definitely go along together. One of the points that needs to be looked at is during this period where things are a bit quieter is a really good time for hotels to be taking the time to look closely at their water usage, their energy usage, the kinds of light bulbs they've got there, some of the everyday things that are in their hotel, the way that they're managing their policies and procedures, and really making sure that they know what's happening in their property and that they're not wasting unnecessarily. This is a very simple thing that can be done. The end of last year, GIZ did a survey in Asia Pacific, and they had different training modules, that they had staff measuring water flows and doing a lot of other things that didn't take much time or effort and had zero cost, but gave a lot of data that then could be built on afterwards. So I think that both can go together very well. It's a matter of knowing what you've got first and then building on it. The demand too needs to come from the customer. They need to say what they want, and hotels really can take this opportunity for sustainability to be in the forefront of all their activities.
Absolutely. And just sort of expanding on that, we have two questions, both of which are adding on to this. So the first one is from Vincent, and he's asking sort of how do we expect to reach carbon neutrality in our industry by 2050 if we don't start changing how we see hospitality now, bouncing on this challenging crisis. And so Sophie wanted to follow up on that, and she's asking sort of, or she's sort of saying that sustainability is about 3 Ps, and many examples related to environmental sustainability have been provided during this discussion. And thank you for this. But what about the people aspect of sustainability? And maybe Frank, I would like to sort of kick that one to you.
Thank you. I went through the transformation for mindset with my colleagues to start speaking sustainability and engaging to talks with others. And I realize the lack and the little knowledge that people have overall. And very often you may take the wrong decision thinking that you're making a change in a product to something else, and actually it's worse. And as much as maybe things which are related to business, you very often would not share with your neighbor, your competition. Sustainability is the one topic where people are embracing it and saying, hey, did you find something in order to replace the packaging into my cake shop? Do you have something which is which I could replace the sole of my the flip-flops into the rooms? And then I mean there are a number of things which I could just point finger and saying people talk to each other to the what can we replace sustainability items with? So we all struggle in saying, what can I replace this item with another one? So when you start to become a sustainable hotel, you start to list all the items you have inside of your hotel, starting from your back of house, your clean fill that you're putting into your kitchen, the pens that you'll be using, the straws, of course, the bottles. You're looking at your entire operation, and you start counting how much plastic you have, and then you reducing, meaning you eliminate one topic after the other one. And you need a lot of resources in order to find out how can you replace those items? Where can you source them? Are they still from the experience, a great experience for a guest? And you see very quickly that you can't do that on your own. You need to get partners in, you need to get education inside of your hotel in order to reach those points. because it's not just a mindset, but it's also once you start to become practical, you need to find new ways, new procedures. And so my recommendation in terms of people, it's about education, about sustainability. And I see that hotel schools are having subject about sustainability. My time, 17, 20 years ago in hotel school, we never talked about sustainability. We did not know what it was. And it's just now that we're starting to see that it's becoming subject in schools. It's becoming subjects into MBA programs. So the educational part is coming along with a new generation which come within. However, in order to do the transformation today, hotels and hotel companies needs to invest heavily in training, understanding, elevating the understanding of what is sustainability. And if you are not starting with the top, with the general managers, with the hotel managers, with your department heads, and that they know what it means to run a hotel operation, which is going to become sustainable 100%, then you don't make the halfway. So the fear there with hotel owners and all this is that the level of knowledge of people operating the hotel, they're doing the same ways they've done it before because they don't know better, because they're never given the tools. They just hear about it if they're interested about, but there is nobody really pushing. And this is only available if you have real training and real education, which will back up the hotels. So I think, you know, it needs to be more of involvement of different kinds of organizations to help out this transition. People are very quick to make a post on Instagram and speaking about it. But now, you know, doing the real thing and the real action, it needs to come from government, help, funding, in order to get everybody on the same page very, very quickly.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that, sorry, Jane, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say hotel associations and other organisations in the community also have a great role where they can assist and bring together hotels and put together packages and get resources and share best practice. And this is an amazing opportunity for you in your destination and for hotel associations to work together with hotels.
Agreed. One of the things that, you know, I'm seeing from the questions here as well, and I think that this makes sort of a lot of sense, which is, you know, what you measure is what you can manage. And, you know, like when it comes to the sustainability sort of initiatives and, you know, the goals, and this is one of the other questions from the Q&A panel here, you know, there's sort of 17 different sort of sustainability development goals. And, you know, the panel, the sort of attendees are wondering, you know, is that reported in the company's accounts? Like, is there sort of, you know, like the P&L, do you have sort of reporting on, you know, maybe the well-being of staff, or like gender equality, or, you know, CO2 offset, you know, excess water saved, or food waste sort of reduced? Just curious, maybe Shafar, we can start with you on this one.
Wow, that's a very interesting question. And I have to say, where I'm at right now with the company that I've been in Oakwood, we have started to do what we have to start do it step by step. We can't just go in and scare everyone, then it will defeat the whole purpose. We have started to do a recording in terms of energy usage, electricity, water, manning, and so on and so forth. And yeah, but then, you know, this is us in our role for our internal usage, and I'm sure Frank will have his version and his format as well, and so on and so forth, as also with other companies. But what would be very interesting is if there is a single global initiative format, reporting line, you know, things that everybody is either encouraged or I don't know, and that to report to that will be very interesting. Then we can all compare and see what we are doing and what kind of result we are getting on the same base, on the same level. But currently, I think, and this is what also I see in terms of, from my experience, yeah, looking at sustainability in different countries. Every country has their own standards, and each country is different. And also from my experience in living in different countries, for example, Japan has a very high, well, standard in terms of garbage waste separation and waste collection system as compared to some other countries, and so on. And because of this level, what is good, what is bad, that definition of yes and no between one area to the other, yes and no between one country to the other, there's still a lot of imbalance there. So it's hard for basically anyone to gauge and say, well, this is good and this is bad. Because what is good for me here might not be that good for my colleague in Japan, and my family is back in KL.
If I can just say, I think the only people that would be collecting that kind of information are those that have undergone formal external audits for sustainability and need to keep those documents and those records and be able to produce them. Whether they're available to the public or not would probably depend on the hotel's policy. And then just going to the other point that Shafar brought up earlier, maybe we should be looking at sharing best practice between different countries as well as between different hotels. If there's something that they're doing really well in Japan and a different thing that's being done really well in another country, maybe we should be trying to learn from each other in that way as well.
Yeah, if I may, I think we refer there the question of the goals, which are the SDG goals, you know, where like it's very defined, it's very specific. And afterwards, it depends if the company culture is to publish or not your sustainability report. But nowadays, you know, it's a must that every company publish for public their own sustainability goals and reports and what they're doing about. But to come back in business, it's very important that we quantify things. First of all, it motivates people. If you put a goal and you say, okay, I have classified 3,000 items which are plastic in my hotel, and we'll be reducing that by 99% in the next 6 months. This is a big amount of items. So you need to quantify. The same with utilities, same with local sourcing. If you say, okay, my minibar will be sourced only in a radius of 30 kilometers around the hotel, not more. If not, they're not selected. So, I mean, they're very specific guidelines, goals that you can refer. But again, the difficulty there is that hotels don't know the goals, they don't know how to put the things in place, they don't know that they need to put people in charge, and there are things which are different. If it's like gender inequality, it's something that needs to be addressed. This is sustainability as much as water, reduction of waste water, for example. There are many of the goals, and you need to be able to define exactly what you'll be doing this year within your hotel, quantify that, say how much have you reached, and publish a report. This is the only way. And again, in terms of education, many of hotel companies or many of hotel operators and owners are not aware that's a major criteria and is across every hotel and every continent, and there's very clear guidelines which are given, but they need to all get themselves to the same page.
Absolutely. That's actually sort of expanding on one of the questions here, which is, like, of course, we've been sort of very receptive, or rather the sector seems to be receptive to embracing technology and innovation. But what about, one of the sustainability goals is about ensuring there's equal opportunity for people, not just, with regards to tech and solutions, but also for, a more integrated environment when it comes to gender or handicapped individuals. And so the question here is, how much are hotels, actually sort of looking at this, and is there any sort of case in, or rather, is there any sort of case studies to show that people are actually going more towards enabling this kind of equality, or are they just looking at this as a claim pursuit, claim defense thing? It's an open question, guys. Anyone of you, please.
I mean, it's pretty clear if this comes, of how much people would you like to have within your board? Are you paying the same wages from a man or a woman for the same job? I mean, that's obvious things that are the core of the discussions, and that in many countries, in many places, it is not practiced, but there are very clear guidelines. Maybe you're not able to change, because of culture kind of difference in wherever you are. But if you take this one subject only, things are very clear and clarified, and you just need to take the list and just get to what is your own commitment within your company or not.
Yeah, if I may add to that, I mean, in Oakwood, for example, it's irrelevant with regards to that. What most important is what do you come with, your skills and your experience. As long as you have a skills or experience, you can be as bald as I am, but still do my hair once in a while, and still get the same treatment as someone with your full head of hair side, for example. There's no difference in that, and I think yes, it is part of sustainability as well, and we need to be equal in that sense as well. So there's not much of a questions, I think, with regards to that at this moment.
So if I can just make a comment too, I think, sorry, you've
yes,
got a
Jane,
bit.
please.
That's okay. That's okay.
Go on, Jay. My connection was bad there for a second.
So no, there was a pop-up message on the screen. That's all. Please move on.
Right. No, I think Peyton, is that poll for now, or should we go back to that later?
We can go to this later. I think we still have a few more questions to cover.
Okay, great. So I'll just go through some of the other questions we got on the chat here. So with COVID, did hotels increase in sustainability or decrease due to social distancing and of course the economical changes? What did we see in practice? Maybe we can start here with Jane, please.
I believe that many hotels went back to their previous use of plastics automatically. It was something that happened quickly. And a lot of that was because of a lack of understanding, certainly in Thailand, of what the guidelines were in the first place. So it was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Also, back to single-use items, when perhaps in the past we'd gone to items that were a little bit more in bulk. So certainly the environment and the sustainability at individual hotels initially took a step back. I think after 6 months, that started to change and people started to look again. Depending on the state of the hotel, people started to look again at what they were doing. And certainly with our hotel groups here in Phuket, we said just resist the urge to go back to the way that things are and try to slowly move forward with the things that you started before COVID. But with the additional chemicals, with the additional personal protective equipment, gloves, masks, other things like that, very difficult with the amount of waste as well. With food waste, with general waste, there was a lot more plastic, a lot more rubbish, a lot more things that went to landfill and things that went to incinerators. So that was, it's very unfortunate, a setback which I believe now is starting to correct itself.
And Frank and Shafar, how do you guys see that as well?
We don't. I mean, in my property here, and I think for most of the properties that we have here in Indonesia, we don't see a lot of changes in that, and it is very sad to hear of what happened in Phuket. But we're lucky because we have a lot of the um, initiatives already in place. And as a matter of fact, if we use, like I said earlier, we use this opportunity to go into further. For example, in our property, with regards to again social distancing and delivery and all that, one of the initiatives that we took, we changed from our laundry bags, for example, not the laundry bags, but the bag that we use when we send laundry back to the clients, from the plastic covering to a woven material coverings that can also be used as a laundry bag later on, recyclable, reusable. So that is one of the many initiatives that we have had in place, and we are making it stronger right now, because it helps again at the end of the day with being sustainable in business. We do. I do see, like I said, I do see this as an opportunity for many people to have that change of mindset, to start the initiative if you haven't started anything yet, and to really look into this, because if it's not now, when? We can't wait when business is back, when everything is back to normal, which is going to be quite a few years from now, we think. But we can't wait till then to start. It's better to start now when we still have the time, we still have maybe the resources, and whatever we do, the return will be back immediately, now when we really need it. If you want to wait till later to start the initiative, we might not reach that later stage. Yeah, we might be winding down first. We'll be one of those 300 or 1,500 hotels in Indonesia that have winded down. We might be one of them before that later arrives. So it is very important right now for us to look into that, and see what we can do or what we can start now, rather than wait for later. If any one of us have not done it, have not started it, now is definitely the time to start.
And Frank, how about your thoughts?
I would agree with Jane. I mean, people are scared and they need to have PPE. You have to give PPE to all of your guests, or of your colleagues. So you have from starting with gloves to masks to aprons to plastic that you put around your shoes. So COVID-19 been like, people shifted to say, okay, let's put efforts to reduce plastic, to actually just add on plastic in everything. And in certain kind of restaurant which are exposed into malls, malls were imposing you to have plastic to wrap all your cutleries into plastic, which is a nonsense. But the perception that it is clean is something that you couldn't push back. So unfortunately, this COVID-19, in terms of people, they cannot make the difference between what is hygienic, and this hygiene needs to be wrapped in plastic, rather than something which is sustainable, where it is maybe clean, where you have maybe your own bottle, which is going to be an aluminium bottle that you're having around, and then you had fountains where you could fill up. Like all of those ones disappeared at once and very quickly, because it's not hygienic anymore. So I think we have this as like step back in all the efforts we've done, fortunately. On the other side, I mean, how great, all those planes are on the ground. So, maybe the balance comes back, but the intentions are there. The intentions are there. I see a lot of all those restaurants which were offering buffets, which cannot anymore, which you have to do an a la carte concept and so on. So the mind of wastage and so on is there. but the association between what is hygienically clean needs to be in plastic is in the mind of absolutely everybody, including governments. So
is it a government thing, the plastics, or is it like something that's a perception?
Wearing a mask, which describe which kind of mask you'll be using, are not sustainable. I mean, this is where you start to gloves that you need, aprons that you need. The transition to a plastic, which going to be a different plastic, is not there. If it's about soaps and alcohol gel, you have microplastic inside. I mean, you go on. There's like people didn't take the long road; they took the shortcut and get to whatever was easier to be used. And fossil fuel is available at big quantities, and they will go for it.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you guys correctly, what you're saying is, the downtime is now, and it's a good opportunity for us to take advantage of that downtime. Go start looking at these solutions, start implementing them, because when things open up, they will then start to pay dividends, because all of these initiatives do have a great return on investment. They bring down your operating costs. So when we have that sort of, low occupancy rates, your operating cost is actually lower than before. So you are able to break even. And then build a business from there. Even though it seems like a lot of money now, or potentially a lot of work now, because of the situation we are in the long term, it absolutely is the right thing to do. However, in the short term, we've taken a step back with things like plastic wraps, cutlery, masks and gloves and whatnot. But we can sort of move away from that with the right initiatives, with the right mindset. And I just want to sort of take that moment and ask our audience, right? So after listening to our panelists, what do you think about sustainability for hotels? And you should have a poll that's popped up already on your screen. So please take a moment to vote on that poll. Do you think hotels should implement or consider sustainable solutions and practices during COVID? And please do vote. And in the meantime, I think we have one more question, which we'll come to now, and this will be the last one before we end the panel. So how do we accelerate innovation adoption with with competitions such as the UNWTO, which have insane entrant to winner ratios? That is the innovation for sustainability. How can we accelerate the innovation for sustainability within the market when competitions like the UNWTO have crazy sort of entrant to winner ratios? Maybe Jane, we can start with you on this.
Sorry, I don't know anything about this topic.
No worries. Frank or Shafar, have you guys sort of, do you know about the UN World Tourism Organization's innovation challenges by any chance?
I don't have enough to comment. I might be saying the wrong thing, so I'll be reserving my
That's
comments.
all right.
Thanks.
Yeah. Frank?
I could comment at least about the innovation in order for everybody to have a topic of discussion there. I think the innovation together with environment is something which goes together. We cannot continue doing the old thing. And at the moment we accept that fossil fuel is wrong, then we'll be moving forwards in what we'll be doing inside of our practices. So innovation, we need innovation because fossil fuel, from driving a car to heating to producing plastic, is convenient. And it was a great innovation at the time where we needed kind of product and we get used to those kind of product. I believe that before plastic, you did not need a straw in order to sip to your drink. You were able to drink it without a straw. So now raise the question of, if we want to change habits, we need innovation which helps us as consumers to just change them. And that's a crucial element. And I think helping innovation to replace what is wrong and wrongdoing is essential in order for us to live in and maintain this planet in a condition that we can stay healthy and that our future generation will stay healthy as well. So I understand that the topic of innovation is going together with the topic of sustainability, and it's becoming major goals for companies, for states, and for the humanity.
Amazing. All right. I think we are on time here. So I would like to, first of all, thank all the panelists for joining us today. It's been amazing hearing from your own perspectives, your experiences, very clearly, very broad and very deep at the same time. So I had a wonderful time hosting you guys. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, everyone. Jane, Frank, thank you.
Bye.
And thank you all the attendees. I hope you guys had fun, and this was a very informational and exciting piece of conversation for you as well. We hope to see you guys in our future webinars. So watch out for our emails, and also we'll send across a survey after this on how this went. We would love your feedback. We're always trying to improve here. So thank you everybody for attending, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day.
Bye,
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye, Jane. Bye, Safam. Bye-bye.
Bye, Frank. Thank you.
Bye,
Good day,
guys.
Jane. Enjoy your weekend.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Thanks, Sai. Thank you for having
Bye.
us.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jay.
Bye.
Thanks, Frank.
Bye.